Hi there, this is Elena with Black Sheep 303 Creative, and my final ornament gift or decor idea for Christmas 2016 is a medallion napkin ring, or it can be an ornament. I wanted to share a project that you could make without purchasing anything, that you could make at home if you needed to for, say, your Christmas dinner party or with kids as a fun activity. So what I've got here are two pieces of plain old copy paper that I have cut to 6 inches by 1.5 inches. And what you're going to do is score this piece every 3/8 inches along the 6-inch length. Now you can do this with a scoreboard like I have here, which is obviously probably the easiest way, but you could also do it with a straight edge and like a bone folder, or even just a credit card on top of like a magazine or a mouse pad. That would work as well. So you're basically going to just score the entire thing, and it will be an even scoring all the way down. And once you have it completely scored, you are then going to fold it in an accordion fold. So you fold the first one towards you, then the second one away from you, the third one towards you, the fourth one away from you, and so on and so forth, until the entire piece has been folded into an accordion shape. And then you're going to do that with the second piece as well. So you'll have two pieces that have been scored and folded into an accordion for the next step. So now we've come to the next step, and I'm going to add some detail to this. Now, you wouldn't have to do this. You can leave it plain, and you will see one in the end that is just a plain medallion. So if you really don't want to take the time to do this, because this is probably the fussiest part of this whole thing, you could just entirely skip this step. And if you are going to skip this, then I would say make your piece out of cardstock rather than copy paper. The reason I made this out of copy paper was because my scissors cannot cut through that many layers of cardstock. It just would never happen. If you have some seriously heavy duty scissors and could do it through cardstock, then I would also do this out of cardstock. But the copy paper holds up just fine, and it works well, especially if you're only going to use it for, like, say, one dinner party. Not a problem at all. But the point is that you want to get I'm going to call these the horizontal lines, even though I'm cutting them vertically. You want to get all of the horizontal lines cut, and then cut that line down the center, the vertical line down the center, through all layers as well. And then you're going to go to each individual fold and then cut the vertical lines to create the pattern. As you see, like, the little pieces will fall out, and you'll have these little, I don't know, what do you call them, like nibs? Little branches, little pieces that are sticking out with a space in between them. And so this is the most detailed part of the project. It really doesn't take that long, honestly, but it is a little bit, this is probably the most tedious part. But by having cut those horizontal lines, it's really easy to just go from fold to fold and cut the vertical lines in between to see where the little spaces are supposed to be. Hence the reason for cutting them in the first place. Okay, so once we get through the entire piece, you're going to have to do this to the second piece as well. And what I did was, actually there's one step first. I'm getting ahead of myself. So now I have cut out all of the little spaces, and I'm going to add some detail to the top. So how we do this is you're going to cut on the first one towards the fold, which is going to create this V. On the second one, you're going to cut away from the fold, which is going to create a triangle. On the third one, you're going to cut towards the fold to make another V. Fourth one, away from the fold to make the triangle, and so on and so forth, and all the way down until you have the entire top cut into this pattern. So you should have a V, a triangle, a V, a triangle, a V, a triangle, a V, a triangle, and yada yada, all the way until the end of your piece is done. And so here's the second one. And so you have to do the exact same process with the second one. And I kind of use the first piece as a guide for where I put my lines, to try to get them as even as possible, because when you will connect them together in the end, and you want them to be as close as you can make it in terms of where the cut lines are. So to connect them, you're going to connect the one flap on, say, the left-hand one with the on top of the inside flap on the right-hand one, and match them up as best you can. And then I used wet glue for this because I really wanted it to stick, and I really wanted to get every surface coated with adhesive. And some of those points, it gets a little tricky, and especially some of those little open areas. So once that is done, you are then going to adhere the second side. So you're going to adhere it into a circle, basically. And so you can see here that you just fold them together, and I have an extra flap here, an extra fold. So you can cut off that extra fold. Don't need it. So we've got one spare. And then we're going to adhere exactly the same way. Adhere the last fold, the last flap on one end to the first flap on the other end. Line them up as best you can, and then set that aside, basically in a circle, to just let it dry and make sure that that bond is really, really strong. Like, you want to let that dry. I probably let each one dry for about half an hour, but I was using quick dry adhesive. You could easily use like Elmer's glue for this. Wouldn't be a problem. You could even use like tape if you wanted to go that far. It's up to you. So that's dried, and now I have punched out 2 cardstock circles using a hand punch that I had. Now you could actually trace a circle using like a small, I don't know, like a spice jar, or if you have some small dies to cut out a small circle, that will work. You just want it to be smaller than obviously the medallion once you've squished down the middle there. And I've put glue on the back of the cardstock circle, and I'm kind of fixing the folds a little bit because this is how it is going to be once it dries. And then I'm putting an acrylic block on top of that cardstock circle to hold it in place and hold it on top of the medallion. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing on the back with the second circle. Just make sure that when you set something on top of this, and you will need to set something on top to keep it in place, you don't use anything too heavy, because copy paper will squish flat if you put anything too heavy on it. So just be careful with that. That's why I used the acrylic block. It worked just perfectly. Now to decorate it a little bit, I punched out a flower using a Martha Stewart punch that I had. You could easily use stickers. You could draw something on it. You could color it with markers. You could punch out a smaller circle. I mean, there's any number of ways that you could decorate this center of the medallion. But I liked the little flower idea, and I have red in my table theme, so I decided I would go with a red flower. And I'm going to make sort of a quasi poinsettia. So I'm using my Nuvo glitter drops in Golden Sunset to add several little centers in the middle of my flower there to give it sort of the look of poinsettia, if you will. And after it's dried, I'm going to add in some veins with this black marker. It's very informal. I'm not worrying about being too precise or anything. It's just basically a straight line. And that's the completed medallion. Now here's the part where you turn it into a napkin ring. So I have a piece of cardstock that's 1 inch wide and about 8 inches long. And 8 inches is plenty. Now I wanted extra because I wasn't sure how much I would need to have to wrap around my napkins, but you could probably do 6 or something. And now I put adhesive on the one end, and I'm wrapping it around my napkin and then just adhering it in place with that adhesive. And there you have it. It is wrapped around. Now here's the medallion where I didn't cut anything. It's just plain cardstock, and that's really cute. And I just stuck a sticker on the middle. Now if you want to jazz it up a little bit, you could cut little V's into the ends to make it a little bit fancier looking, if you want to take the time to do that. And I did that all the way around. And now I'm going to turn this one into an ornament. So I'm poking a hole into the top of it with my pokey tool. And I'm kind of enlarging the hole as best I can. And then I've got this really skinny decorative ribbon that I'm looping I formed a loop. I'm pushing the loop through the hole. And now I'm going to feed the loose ends through the loop and then pull that tight, and then just tie it in a knot really quickly here at the top. And then that creates your loop to hang it on the tree or give it as an ornament or whatever you like. And those are the 2 completed projects. So it doesn't require much. I'm sure you could just use things that are in your stash to create this. This one obviously is a little more work with the decorative elements on it, but I think either one is a very pretty item that you could either give away to guests or hang on your tree or use as a project for your kids. So I hope you've enjoyed that. And I hope I've given you a little inspiration for a way to use your stash with the only about a week we have left before Christmas. Thank you so much for watching. I always appreciate it. There aren't really any supplies for this, but the few that I did use are linked below in the video description, as well as on my blog. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up, and as always, I would be absolutely thrilled if you would subscribe to my channel. I hope everyone has an extremely Merry Christmas and a great Happy New Year. Thank you so much.